Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening, this morning, this afternoon, whenever it is? It's really late, you guys. It is 4:06 a.m. and I'm super tired. I fell asleep with Alex last night at like 11 o'clock. We went out to dinner last night with Melissa and Jason to Cheesecake Factory. We had such a nice dinner, and we came home. We went to dinner really late, and we came home, and Alex and I were laying in bed with Boo and Tucker, and we were just like talking, and I said, I think I'm just gonna rest my eyes for a little bit before I go vlog. And Alex is like, will you please not set an alarm? And I said, yeah, I'm not gonna set an alarm. And so I fell asleep, and I woke up, and I was like, I was so comfy in bed. Do you ever have those moments where you're just like so comfortable in bed? I was so comfortable. And Boo Radley was like right against, I was like on my side, and Boo Radley was right against my back. And I looked over at the clock, and it said 3:42. And I was like, oh my God, I have to vlog. So I'm vlogging. I have to be up a little bit early tomorrow to go to the massage therapist. If you remember, I said I was like doing some things to take care of myself in 2020. And one of those things was that we used to have this massage therapist that we went to, and I went to him like regularly. And so I booked this appointment like weeks ago. So my appointment is tomorrow, so I've got to be, it's not super early, it's at noon, but I've got things I've got to do before, so I've got to be up, so I can't be out super late, which now I am going to be out super late vlogging, but it's okay. I mean, I've gotten like, what, almost 5 hours of sleep already, so when I go back, yeah. And Alex goes into work, I think, like, he goes in late tomorrow. He goes in at, like, 10. So, he can, he'll wake me up before he leaves. Whew. And so, I'll probably get up about 9:30 or 10, and that'll be fine. And I'll just get a couple extra hours of sleep. It's cold out. It is 27 degrees. It feels really cold outside, though. Which, of course, I have my Birkenstock sandals on, so always in the sandals. Turn this down. I had my auxiliary cord linked into my phone, and so it makes this sound. Does your car do this? I don't know why I had to tell you that. Okay, I need something to drink, I think. Did I say that already? I was thinking it. Do you ever think something and then you think you said it out loud? This is like, have you ever gotten into this argument with like your husband or wife or partner or whatever, whoever you choose to spend your life with, but like you'll be having a conversation and you think you said something out loud, or they think they said something out loud, but you didn't. You just thought it. And then they'll say something, you'll be like, well, I just told you, and you'll be like, you honestly did not just say that. Like, I was listening. They're like, you swear you said it, and you're like, did I say it or was I just thinking it? You know, it's but I want to get something to drink because I'm thirsty. I was gonna grab some water, and then honestly I was like grabbing my camera and stuff, and I just kind of like walked out without getting the without filling my thing up with some water. So my day, how was my day? My day was good today. You know, it's been good for me the last 2 days. I've made a list of things I wanted to get done, and I've literally gotten everything done on my lists. And I've been like kind of real structured with my days, and that has been really good for me to just kind of be like, okay, this, then this. I mean, and it hasn't been like super serious stuff. You know, it's been like, you know, it's just been stuff like what videos I wanted to make during the day, or go and do like these errands I have to run and stuff like that. And but it's been good for me to kind of have like things to like cross off and do, you know, and kind of just kept my mind going forward. And today was interesting. Like, I was fine getting up this morning with Boo and Tucker, and then I was like okay during most of the day, and then this early afternoon I took the dogs outside, and so when you take it, like when I take them out on the back patio, they used to all run out together. And it's interesting if you like believe in like a wolf pack mentality. I know, the wolf pack, but if you believe in it, because there's a lot of truth to like pack mentality, and you can see it with your dogs. And like Pee-Pee was like the lead dog, and so for the longest time, like wherever they went, he was always first, Tucker was second, and Boo was third. I mean, always. Like if they went outside, wherever they went, that was always kind of how it was. You could tell that there was an order. Well, in the last, like, I would say month or two, since, you know, like, Pee-Pee's been a little bit slower. It's so weird, I still talk about him in the present tense, but since he was a little bit slower, like, you know, I would take the dogs outside, I would let Boo and Tucker, you know, out of their house or crate, and, like, when I got home, and then Pee-Pee, so I would open the sliding glass door, and then Pee-Pee would come running downstairs afterwards. So it would be like Boo and Tucker would go outside, and then Pee-Pee would come down like a minute later. Hello? Hello? I don't really understand how this McDonald's can say that they're open 24 hours when they're obviously never open 24 hours. I've gone through this McDonald's so many times. They're standing in there. I can see them standing in there. 24-hour drive-through. Never open. Anyway, so today I took, you know, and I've been kind of like wondering like how much they understand or they know, and it's weird. There's, you know, like, I mean, I think sometimes like with dogs, it's like, do we really know something, or are we reading into it, or what's going on? But there's been kind of like a little sadness in their eyes. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know if like maybe Alex and I are reading into it, because we both kind of noticed it, especially with Tucker. Like he seems sad. But then we were like, but are we reading into it? Is there nothing there? You know, whatever. And they've been acting a lot differently. Like, Boo and Tucker are barkers. Like, they bark. Like, when I come through the door or whatever, they're not barking at all. Like, not whatsoever. It's the weirdest thing. And even though that they just, like, were at the kennel and they came home, like, that wouldn't usually stop it. They're usually barkers, and they're just not barking at all. They're like very quiet, and I don't know, it's kind of strange. Like Alex even said the other day, he was like, it's so quiet in the house, and it is, and it's like, you know, before it wasn't like loud because of Pee-Pee. It was, you know, like Boo and Tucker were running around and stuff. They're just not doing a lot of that. It's they just kind of stand there, and then, like, you know, if like Alex or I are in the chair, they'll jump up with us or on the couch, and they just sit down very quietly. They're just very subdued compared to how they were before. And so anyway, I took Boo and Tucker out tonight, or this afternoon, and I was getting ready to run a bunch of errands, and I took them out, and Boo Radley, and he used to do this with Pee-Pee, because like it would take Pee-Pee like a minute or two to come down the stairs and come out. And I mean, he kind of came out when he was ready to, you know. And so, and like he would, like Pee-Pee would come down the stairs, and then he would like stand like at the door and like look out, and then he would like walk out like and come down the little stairs, and like Pee-Pee would always, so Boo Radley would always, like he would run outside and he would go and he would pee, and then he would come back up the stairs and he would stand at the door and he would like wait for Pee-Pee, and then when Pee-Pee came downstairs, like Pee-Pee would go in front of him and walk down the little stairs into the grass, and Boo Radley would follow him. Well, today, Boo Radley ran downstairs, and he ran like down the little stairs off of our patio, and he peed, and I was standing on the patio, and he like came back up past me, and he walked back inside, and he like looked around, and then he came back outside, and he looked around, and then he like turned around, and he walked back in the house, and he just stopped, and he was like looking around at the house. It was the saddest thing. Like, it really like broke my heart. And I think he was looking for pee-pee, you know. And I was like totally fine today until then. I mean, not fine, but I was like, I wasn't having like all these breakdowns and stuff. And I just was like, oh, Boo, you know, like. And then it just was like, Alex came home and we were getting ready. Like, I went and ran a bunch of errands, and I had stuff I had to do. And so Alex came home, and then I came home, and he had fed the dogs. And so we were just sitting there talking and stuff. And when we got ready to go eat, I went upstairs, and I was like, because I was uploading all these videos, and I was getting them, like my Purisms video, I got up kind of late, and because like I was rendering them and uploading them while I was gone and stuff, and so I was sitting there, and so I was gonna take a shower before we went to go eat, because I kind of like wanted to do my hair nice and stuff. Actually, I'm just gonna take my hat off because my head is kind of itching. You know, don't care, it doesn't matter. But I just went upstairs and I like brushed my teeth and all that kind of stuff, and put cologne on. And so when I left, you know, like, I don't know why it was so hard for me. It was like, I would always, like, Pee-Pee would whenever we would leave, like to go to dinner or whatever, Pee-Pee would always be laying on the bed. Just, you know, his little paws out in front of him, and I would go over and give him, you know, a bunch of kisses, and I'd say, okay, babe, bye, Pee-Pee, we'll be back in just a little bit, love you, and love you, buddy. And I looked back at, like, when I walked out of the bedroom, because we keep our bedroom doors closed, and I like looked out when I was closing the door. I don't know, for some reason I just expected to see him there. It was weird. And then when we were walking out of the house, you know, often, like, if Pee-Pee wasn't sleeping on the bed, he'd be, like, sitting on, like, the second step, like, just kind of sitting there, like, bye, guys. And I, like, looked back, and it was weird. Like, it was kind of like I expected to see him there, you know? And I told Alex, I got in the car, and I said I was fine all day. Like, I just, and not that there was anything wrong with feeling this emotion, but it's just, like, I don't know where it really came from, you know? And I know it's still, you know, new, and it's still raw and stuff, but oh man, it just kind of came out of nowhere. And so yeah, that was my day. And then we went to Cheesecake Factory with Melissa and Jason. We had a really nice dinner. I had some kind of the 4-cheese pasta, and then Alex had the white chicken chili, which is on like the skinny menu. He loves that white chicken chili. And Melissa had shepherd's pie. She's like, I want to try something new. She had like a salad and shepherd's pie. Alex and I started with cheese quesadillas too. We were hungry. And Jason had the miso salmon, I think is what it was called. He loved it. He said it was great. And it was just a really good, we had a good talk. Like, we were talking about like going to Miami for Ultra, because we're all going down there again. We're really excited about that. And we were talking about that. We were talking about some other stuff. And then, you know, like, Melissa's like such a dog lover, and so is Jason, but like, you know, Melissa does like the dog rescues, and she like sits on all these boards for dog stuff, and they've had several cats that have passed before they got their dogs. And so we were talking, and she, you know, Melissa was just kind of sharing some experiences with us, and it was really nice to kind of just sit there and have a conversation. But it got super emotional. Like, we were like literally all of us crying at the table at Cheesecake Factory. We're like, okay. Jason, I think, was the one, he was like, okay, we need to talk about something else. Because we were like all crying, but it was good. It was really nice, you know. Isn't it just so fantastic when you have friends that you can just like let down all guards and just, you know, like be completely yourself with? Is this been like dark like this the whole time? Look at my hair, how bad it is. They're honking. They're probably not open. I don't think they even ordered. They're not open. Hello? This girl over here is like looking at me and she's like, are they open? Are they not? They're not open. More places that said, oh my God, this chick is going up here. She's like knocking on the door. Look at this. She's knocking on the door. She was at the sliding glass door. She was over it trying to open it because they're standing in there. Oh my God. Girl, you are crazy. What are you doing? She's trying to get into the McDonald's. I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. Oh my gosh. So what was I gonna say? Was I gonna say anything else about all that? No, that was it. And then we came home and we were just like laying in bed, and we like, both of us like put our phones down, and we were just sitting there with like Boo and Tucker and just talking. It was so nice. I mean, we talked for like a half an hour, and it was so relaxed, and just fell asleep. So it was an okay day. It was a good day, you know. It wasn't horrible, and it wasn't, there was, you know, some laughter to be had, and I gotta get something to drink. I cannot drive all the way down to that other, and I'm gonna have to go to White Castle, and I absolutely cannot stand White Castle's fountain pops, but whatever. And their Diet Coke is the worst. So I'm gonna have to get like a Coke or something. And I hate their cups for their mediums and large, so I'm gonna have to just get a regular cup. Listen to me complaining about fountain pops. It's really not that deep, is it? It isn't. I could just go without, couldn't I? Or I could go into the Speedway gas station and get one, but I don't really feel like getting out of my car right now because I'm that lazy. At 4:24 a.m. I just don't feel like it. Maybe I'll get a bigger drink. I think their drinks are huge here though. Like if you get a large, I think it's like basically like, if you've ever seen those, oh my God, what did I just do? I threw my car into neutral. Have you ever seen those cups? If one of you out there does this, I apologize. I'm totally not making fun of you. I used to work with this woman that she would drink Mountain Dew out of those, but do you know those mugs I'm talking about that are literally like this big plastic mugs? People take them into gas stations and they fill them up. It always cracks me up. Oh, I always forget that they have Valentine's Day here. Mac and cheese nibblers. Oh my God, I might have to get those. Crispy cheddar on the outside, creamy macaroni on the inside. I'm like, should I do a review of this right here while I'm here? I'm gonna do a review video really quick, and I will be right back, because I'm here, so it's, you know, late at night. I'm gonna do the review while I'm here, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I just did a review of these macaroni and cheese bites. I didn't realize how hungry I was till I sat down here and ate these little trees. I mean, there's only 5 of them that come in this little, I got a small. And then I also got they had that 100 drink thing in there. So I got a vanilla root beer. That's my favorite thing when you go to those drink. I love those drink things. Oh my God. The first time I ever saw them, I think, was at Noodles and Company. These little macaroni and cheese things are so good. I don't know what I was talking about. Was I talking about fitness, diet, and exercise? As I eat my macaroni and cheese bites. I kind of like any kind of food that has the word nibbler in it, and I don't know why. It just makes it sound better, doesn't it? They also have these little corn dog nibblers. Which is kind of just like this. What are they, pigs in a blanket or whatever? Not really. Not really, they're not. But they're like little mini corn dogs. And I used to get them back in the day before I was a vegetarian, and they are really, really good too. So, interesting story. This White Castle, I was actually just telling this on my review channel. I was like, oh, I keep on meaning to show it in my review video, on my vlog, and I keep on forgetting. I was gonna do it on my sobriety birthday, but this White Castle was the White Castle that I was aiming for the night that I went into treatment. So, what I think happened, because I don't really remember, but I'll show you. Gotta throw away all my trash down here. You ever get songs in your head and you don't know why you have that song stuck in your head? It happens to me all the time. Well, I did my review video, but now I'm gonna be tired for tomorrow. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna throw this out. So, here is the White Castle that has been here, I mean, since I was in high school. Now, this is 82nd Street over here. And this is a little road that comes in, and I think I was trying to go to this Starbucks, here, let me take this Jeep thing down for a second, hold on. To the drive-through, which is right here. But I think I just kept on driving. Now, if you look, I can't really see. There's this road where I'm turning right here. Now, do you see? I can't see. Okay, do you see where this is, like this Chipotle and Sport Clips, Capriotti's? Okay, this was the Perkins restaurant that I slid into the back, okay, and took siding off the back where the kitchen was. Drove, like, literally kind of like, I didn't drive into the kitchen, but like I took siding off and took my car, like damaged my car. And then right over here, kind of where that sign is, do you see that this sign is right here? It's completely flat now. Right here, this used to be a ditch, okay? And that was the ditch that I put my car into the night that I went into treatment. It was like literally right here. You can kind of see where the ditch is down at the end, and it like levels out now, but that used to be a ditch. So that was it for me right there. And then in that strip mall over there, I walked over, you can see there's like this K&G Fashion Superstore, and then there's like a TJ Maxx, Burlington Coat Factory, Dollar Store, Five Below. That used to be a Kroger grocery store way back in the day. And my eyes are itching like crazy all of a sudden. And I went to that Kroger, and I had like, I don't know how much money I had in my pockets, but I like loaded my pockets up with cigarettes because I knew like I was either going to jail or I was going to treatment, and I was gonna want cigarettes at one place or the other. I don't know how I like consciously knew that at the time, when I didn't really know even how to put one foot in front of the other. But did you see this overpass that we just passed right there? That's where my dad found me walking, and I was just saying over and over and over again, I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home. And I didn't live too far from there. I lived right up here this is where my very first apartment was. And my dad was like, said later though, like, I don't feel like you meant home, like where you lived. He said it felt like it was more of like an ethereal home that you were talking about, which is kind of weird, don't you think? But you know, I believe in all that spiritual stuff, so maybe it wasn't too weird. God, it seems so long ago. I never put this lip gloss on anymore. Alex and I were talking on this vacation, and he was like asking me some stuff about like back in the day with me. And Alex knows my first boyfriend. Like, Alex was friends with my first boyfriend before Alex and I dated. And because they both like kind of worked at the same bar for a little while. And I remember when Alex and I started dating, and somehow his name came up, and Alex was like, how do you know him? And I think it was maybe even like mutual friends on Facebook or something like that. He was like, how do you know him? And I was like, we dated. We lived together for 4.5 years. He was like, what? Like, to this day, people are like so surprised that we dated. They're like, you guys are like night and day. And we really weren't. Like, it really worked in some kind of weird way. But it wasn't a real deep relationship, I will say that. It was like, we had a lot of fun. My family loved him. I remember when he came to my mom's funeral, he was just a complete wreck. And he's like such a nice guy, and he was like never like a heavy drinker. I mean, he drank, but he was never like a heavy drinker. And since I was in early sobriety, he like hardly ever drank at all, like around me and stuff, right? And I remember he came to my mom's funeral. And he had been, it was like my mom, you know, passed away during like race season here in Indianapolis, which is basically the whole month of May. And he had been at the racetrack that day. And he said, like, I almost didn't come because I was and he smelled like alcohol, I remember. And he felt like so bad about it. He even like called me like 2 days after that. He's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's fine. I'm glad you showed up. My dad and my stepmom were so happy to see him because we used to travel with them a lot back then. And, but anyway, it does seem, I will say this, like, I don't know what the difference is between like 46 and 48, but whereas for a long time it was like, God, it doesn't seem like it's been that long. It does seem like it's been that long. Recently something has happened to me where things from 30 years ago seem like, it seems like 25, 30 years ago. It really does. You know, there are some things that it seems like yesterday, but I feel like I've lived a life. Like, I really do, you know? I was laying in bed tonight and I was like, Alex and I found out tonight, well, he found out and then he told me that this girl that we used to know back in the day passed away, and like, I guess she's, I don't know, like she passed away, and like she wasn't sick or anything, and I was like, what happened? He's like, I don't really know. They just, you know, they said that she passed away, and it was nobody that we were like, I mean, I haven't seen this girl in probably, I mean, it's very, very sad, but I don't know her, and I never was that close with her, so, but it's still horribly sad, right? But I was thinking to myself, like she was this girl that was like so full of energy and life. Like whenever you would see her, she'd just be like, hey, how are you? And whatever. She's just such a happy, like vibrant person. And I was thinking like, God, it's so weird to imagine that she's like gone forever, you know? Even though I haven't seen her and it's been years. Oh, actually, that's not true. I think I saw her at New Year's like 3 years ago or something. But anyway, but like for maybe like a minute. But I was thinking like how weird that is, and I was like, I mean, you know, I could be gone in 2 days. Like, and it's weird when you think about it that way, you know? And I think with like PP's passing recently, it's made me like reevaluate I know it's the life of a dog compared to the life of a human. I get it, right? But like at the same time, it's life, it's death, it's, you know, like the circle of life kind of thing, you know? I mean, it really is. And it's really made me think a lot about my own mortality recently, and the things that I like want to achieve in my life or do, you know. And I do think, you know, you kind of have to live your life as if you just don't know when, and we don't know when, you know, most of us. And so I think that is how you have to live your life, or I think you miss out on a lot. And I think, in all honesty, like, you know, I talk a lot about my mom's wisdom and the stories of her life and things like that, but my mother was a very, very fearful person. I don't talk a lot about that on here, you know, but my mom had a lot of issues, and one of which was that she was an extremely, extremely fearful person. And it really stopped her from doing a lot of things in life that she really wanted to do. I'm like kind of taking a route tonight I've never taken before because of going through White Castle. But it really stopped her in life from doing a lot of things that she wanted to do. You know, and I think about that, and I think about the fact that my mom died at 64. And there were a lot of things that she like missed out on. And because she was too afraid, you know. My mother was terrified to fly. She didn't like driving on interstates. So if you think about it, that really limits her ability to travel anywhere, you know. I think she would fly, but she would have been a complete mess. And my mom, kind of like in some situations, it was almost, I mean, it wasn't like, okay, I'm nervous about flying. Like, we had gone to Chicago for my mom's 60th birthday. My Aunt Caroline, my mom, and my ex, we all went up to Chicago for my mom's 60th birthday. And we stayed at the W, Lakeshore W. And so my ex and I like had called my mom, and we were like, do you want to go take a walk? It was like the day that we had gotten there, because we were going to like walk over to like the beach, and we were going to walk down to like, you know, like Oak Street and what's the Drake Hotel, because my mom loves that hotel and loved that hotel and stuff. We were going to go to the water tower, and we were going to walk around for a little bit. And so she wanted to go, and she's like, can you come get me in my room? And I was like, why do I need, she was like up like 5 floors, and I was like, why don't you just meet us in the lobby? Why do I need to come and get you in your room? And she would come up with these new fears that I was never like aware of. And maybe it was because I hadn't been like in a building with her for a long time where you had to take an elevator. Oh my God, I can't be in an elevator. She would resort to this child, like, and she'd be like, Peter, come and get me, Peter, come and, I can't be in an elevator by myself. She was terrified, apparently, of being in elevators by herself. And like, I knew this kind of, I guess, because she was terrified to be on an escalator too. Like, she hated, it was weird phobias and fears, you guys. And, you know, then there would be moments, like I could be standing on an escalator with her and she was completely fine. Completely fine. But if she had to be on an escalator by herself, she'd be like, oh no, I'll take the stairs. I mean, it made no sense. But if she had somebody with her that she trusted, she was completely fine. She'd get in an elevator, fine. She had no fear whatsoever. But if she'd take an elevator by herself, panic mode, you know? And I think probably a lot of things happened, you know, in my mom's childhood that affected her to be that way. You know, for a long time when my mom passed away, I really searched a lot of that out and tried to find some of that, what had happened. And, you know, at some point I just was like, I don't know, maybe that I need to know everything. So, but like, there was so much fear that she had that it, like, took precedence over her enjoying her life at times, and things that she, you know, she was asked to travel everywhere. My mother had sorority sisters literally all across the country, you know. Friends of hers would say, oh, you know, she went to the Bahamas when I was, like, in 6th grade. I think it was, like, for spring break. My dad and I went somewhere, I think Florida, to visit his fraternity brother. And my mom's really, really good friend, they owned a boat, and they had a boat in Nassau. And so my mom flew to Nassau with her and her husband. And that friend of my mom's, like, this was one of my mom's very, very dear friends. Like, she's still around. I need to look her up. And they flew to Nassau and their daughter, who was, like, in 9th grade at the time. And they had, like, this great time in Nassau. And my mom didn't have any issue. But see, like, that was her traveling with people. And then when I would want to, like, schedule a trip and, like, fly somewhere with her, oh, no, I can't fly. I mean, she would, like, be panicked. And I'd be like, I'm not going to spend this money on a flight if she's not going to get on it, you know? And so we never did. And that was, like, part of, like, going out to Colorado to visit Susie. Like, I just didn't know, like, if I could ever. My mom didn't even like to be in a car on the interstate with somebody else driving. She would do it with me because she trusted me. But she didn't really like it. And she definitely wouldn't drive by herself on interstates. It terrified her. She'd take every side road in the world to get from one place to another, from point A to... I mean, if it took an hour to get from A to B, she would do that rather than taking an interstate or a highway. She hated it. She hated it. And then on top of that, she'd say, and I have night blindness, so I can hardly see, so I don't like to be on the roads at night. She was scared all the time. It's weird when I look back on that. I don't really have anybody in my life like that right now. But, like, my mom, like... I kind of lived my life around all of that. You know, like, I would say to her, like, you know, why don't you meet me here, such and such? Oh, no, sweetie, I don't. I appreciate you asking me, but, like, I don't drive at night. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't drive at night? And she'd be like, well, I go to my meetings, and that's it, because I know where my meetings are, and I go to this meeting down the street. But, like, sweetie, I don't drive, like, 20 minutes at night. I can't see. My mom was 60. She wasn't 80, okay? And if you looked at her, you would have thought she was 50. And I'd be like... okay. And then, like, during the day, I'd be like, hey, why don't you meet me at such and such place to go to lunch? Oh, I mean, it'll take me an hour to get there. I'd be like, Mom, it'll take you 10 minutes to get there. And she'd be like, oh, no, sweetie, I don't take... And I would say, like, some major road. I'm trying to think of, like, a major road, like Meridian in Indianapolis, right? Which is, like, this major, like, road, like, 3 ways either way. Oh, no, that's a highway. I'm like, it's not a highway, Mom. Like, you know, it was weird. So, anyway, it was all, I think... fears around control issue stuff, and I really don't think she could control a lot of it. I mean, I think a lot of it was deep-seated phobias and fears. So anyway, but it kept her from, where am I at on time? It kept her from doing a lot of things that she wanted to do in her life that I think that she never allowed herself to do because she just was so terrified, you know? It makes me sad when I look back at that because she had so many opportunities to do stuff. My mother could have traveled for a living at the end because, I mean, she had so many people just being like, come visit us here, come visit us there. You know, I have a condo here, I have a house here, or whatever, you know? And she didn't do any of that. It makes me sad for her, you know? And so I think you have to live your life and you have to, like, face your fears. And as hard as that is, and I have a lot of fears that I have to face too, you know? But I think I don't want them to control my life. I don't want them to control what I'm willing to do or, you know, the things that I'm enjoying in my life. Because then you're basically an armchair traveler through life, which is totally fine. You know, it is. It's totally fine. You don't even have to leave the confines of your house to travel the world in books and movies. You don't, right? But there is a difference. And you don't have to travel the world to experience things. You can just travel down the street. But if you allow your fears to keep you from trying new things, I think, like, that's a big one for me. Like, I have to try new things because I really, you know, like to just get into my comfort zone and not get out of it. I don't know if any of you out there are like that, but, like, I like to just be in my comfort zone and not get out of my comfort zone at all, you know, and just be like, okay, here I am doing my little, you know, rituals of things I like to do on a daily basis. And, you know, I think, Because it is uncomfortable to get out of that comfort zone and try something different. It really, really is, you know? You know, Alex is somebody that, when it comes to food, he knows what he likes and he doesn't try anything different, okay? Until recently. I would say until like the last 6 months to a year. Well, maybe really just like the last 6 months. Because like recently he's been eating fish. Now, I can't stand fish. I can't stand the smell of it. I never ate it, not even before I was a vegetarian. I would eat certain kinds of things. Like I would eat like crab meat rangoon. I would eat like shrimp in like fried rice. Sometimes I could do it. If I smelled it, any kind of fish, I couldn't do it. I could not do it. My mom, when I was growing up, she would cook orange roughy and all kinds of things in the kitchen. My dad loved fish. I just hate the smell of it. It makes me gag-a-maggot. But, so he's been recently trying fish. And there's been some other things. Because, like, typically, like, if you're out to eat with my husband or something, like, if it was he and I'd be like, oh, you should try this. It's really good. He won't say, no, thank you. He'll do what, like, that's the most disgusting. How dare you eat that? That's the most disgusting thing that he's ever tasted in the entire world. But if he tried it on his own and he liked it, then he would be completely fine with that, right? So he's been trying more lately. I'm really proud of him. Like, I'm somebody that will try almost anything unless it's something that, like, I mean, even if it's like gross, and I know I won't like it, I will still try it if somebody's like, you should try this. Unless it's like something weird, you know, like, well, I'm a vegetarian now, so that kind of rules out a lot of weirdness, but, you know, like, I don't have a, like, I was somebody that would try basically anything, you know? And a lot of things that I have tried through the years, I've ended up, like, I was a person that back in the day, I thought it was disgusting. I thought it was gross and disgusting when people would dip shit in ranch dressing. And I have become that Midwesterner that dips everything in ranch dressing. Okay, listen, like, it is embarrassing when I go to restaurants because I'm like, can I get more ranch dressing? I mean, I dip everything in ranch dressing. And Sarah, Alex's friend, I can't, his best friend, she was in my review video today. She like drove up at the end of it, so I put her in it, but I can't remember, it was like 4 or 5 years ago. She was visiting for Christmas and we were like sitting around, it was like the three of us, and we were watching a movie, and she's like, I want some Domino's pizza, which I can't stand Domino's pizza, by the way, but anyway, it's like the worst carry-out pizza in the entire world. But back in the day, I loved it. I don't like it anymore. I know there's some people that love it, and that's fine. But anyway, so she got a Domino's pizza and she ordered ranch with it. This is my total, you know, like, scout moment in To Kill a Mockingbird. So she's like dipping her pizza in this ranch dressing, and I'm like looking at her like, Sarah, that is so gross. And I said something, I go, I said, like, here's my, you know, way of saying it. I said, I've never seen anybody eat pizza with ranch dressing before. And she like knew I was calling her out, right? And she's like, well, why don't you try it? And I was like, no, I'm good. And she's like, no, like, if you really think it's that weird, why don't you try it? And I was like, okay, so I tried it, and I absolutely loved it. And now I eat ranch. Oh, it's gonna stop, hold on. Okay, I'm back. So now I eat ranch with my pizza. Not always, but sometimes. Papa John's, I always do. I need more of this lip balm. You know what's interesting about this lip gloss? Well, I guess Shane Dawson's lip glossin' is clear too. This almost has kind of like a sparkle, like a little bit of a white to it. I don't know. I have never used Shane's lip gloss, so I don't know what it's like. But this is Manny MUA's from Lunar Beauty. Oh, shoot. And do you have like so much stuff that is falling between the side of your car, like your seat, and it goes down there? Anyway. Okay, let me just tell you, first of all, it is very, very hard to find a clear lip gloss, just clear lip gloss, period. Like, that doesn't have a color to it or whatever. If you go to like Sephora or Ulta, I know there's people out there that are like, no, it's not. Yes, it is. I went to Ulta and I went to Sephora and I was like, all I want is a clear lip gloss. And I ended up getting one. Back in the day, I felt like it was so easy to, I mean, like a nice one, right? I think I got like one from, I don't remember what it was. But I ended up, I can't remember where I found it. But, so anyway, I love this lip gloss though. This lip gloss is fantastic. This lip gloss is popping. And it has a little crystal on the bottom of it and everything. It's very, very cool. Yeah. But, has like a little crystal, do you see? I love it. I'm ready to try. Well, when they come out with the next batch of the Shane stuff, I will see if I can get some of that Shane gloss in. I won't be sitting online for 5 hours trying to order it, though. I know that much is true. What was that book by Wally Lamb the other? I think I put it on my Instagram picture that the other day. This much I know is true. I loved that book by Wally Lamb. It was so depressing. It was about twins, and one of them was a schizophrenic, and the other one had to take care of his brother because his parents were gone. It was so sad. Wally Lamb, who wrote She's Come Undone. He's a great writer. And then he wrote a Christmas book that I read last year that was called like Hopin' and Wishin' or Wishin' and Dreamin' or something like that. It was really a good Christmas book. I don't think he's written anything in a long time. I don't know. Tanya used to read all of his books. It's like a lot of these authors, like they'll write a couple things that you love, and then it's like, then like they put out some kind of, like they put like 2 duds out in a row. They like try to be something they're not, you know what I mean? And which is fine. Like, I mean, artists evolve and change, writers evolve and change, and I understand all that kind of stuff, but sometimes I just like, you know, for things to stay the same. Like, I like my writers like I like my writers. It's like, okay, like this is a good example. Dan Brown, do you ever, like this is when you know you're truly a reader. I've been meaning to, I was gonna make this video on YouTube, like when you know you're a reader. But like when you Google your favorite authors and you'll put like Dan Brown's next book to see when like Dan Brown's next book is coming out. I know that Dan Brown is no literary genius. I get it, okay? He writes these books basically about the Masons and Illuminati, and they're always these adventure books. He wrote the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons and those books and whatever. Okay. But they are really great reads. Like, even, like, his last one, I think, was Origin, and it was, like, my least favorite of all of them. There's 2 of them I haven't read. My oil change is required. Anyway, there's 2 of them I haven't read, and if you have read them, will you let me know? One is Digital Fortress, and I put it in my wish list on Audible, because I thought, well, maybe I'll just listen to it on Audible. The other one is, I think, other than Origin, I have, and maybe Origin even, I've read all of them. Now, Origin, I think I listened to on Audible, but the rest of them, I read the physical books. They're extremely long, but they're really good. I mean, you can read them in like 2 days. They're such fast-paced reads. But Digital Fortress, and I can't remember the other one, but they're like his first 2 books, and I've never read them. But if you've read them, will you let me know what you think? So anyway, Dan Brown is somebody that kind of sticks to his formula, and his books are always good, and they're always fast-paced, and they're always very, very interesting. The Symbol, I think, is probably my favorite book of his, which is crazy, because it was one of his later books. And I love the Da Vinci Code. When I read the Da Vinci Code the first time, I like literally could not put it down. I felt like I was with Robert Langdon and that girl like when I was reading the book, I felt like I was on the adventure with them. And that for me is like a fantastic thriller. Like when you feel like you are on the adventure with the characters, like if a writer can achieve that, it's like fantastic writing. But I'm trying to think of somebody else that, like, Fanny Flagg. I mean, all of her books are absolutely, and she passed away. She was married to a real famous actor, I can't remember, and she was actually in some TV shows too. She used to be Match Game back in the day, she was on. But Fanny Flagg wrote, oh shit, I can never remember what that book is called, but it's the one, they made it into a movie where the girl has the baby in the Walmart and she names it Americus. But all of her books are, there's a book about the moon. Oh, no, Fanny Flagg is not who I'm thinking of. Fanny Flagg is the one that wrote Fried Green Tomatoes. Billy Letts is who I'm talking about. And she wrote, or I can't think of the names of the books, but the books are fantastic. I've talked about them on here before. I've read every single one of her books. Every single one of her books are endearing, emotional roller coasters of fantastic characterization and writing. And even though I can't remember what they are right now, like if I pulled up the title, I could tell you within a second like what they were. They are so great, and she develops characters like nobody's business, and she passed away. And Michael Crichton was another writer that I loved everything he wrote, and he passed away. I actually got his most, well, he didn't write it. This other guy, Ghost, wrote it. The book about the Andromeda strain. It's like, what do you call it? It's like the sequel to it. But Michael Crichton didn't write it. This guy, Ghost, wrote it. This guy's like coming up on my tail like this. It's like I can see him like getting faster and faster, and I'm like, we're on like a side road where it's like we're not supposed to be going very fast along here. But anyway, I'm trying to think of who else I've read everything by. John Green, I've read everything by him. Rainbow Rowell, I've read everything by her. There's a couple young adult authors that I've read everything by them. Quite a few, actually. But, you know, like a lot of young adult authors, they don't have like the range of like books that, and they don't have like a huge catalog of books that they've written either. What was that Billy Letts book about? The moon. First of all, I'm going to pull in here. So I want to see what the names of these books are. The moon something was one of them. It was so good. I can see it. It has like, it's like blue, and it shows like a skyline, and it has like, I feel like it was about like a brother and a sister, like runaways or something. I don't know why I'm thinking that. It was, like, I think they lived in this car in Nevada. If that's the one I'm thinking about. Hold on a second. Do you ever have to do this? Oh, you guys can like, oh my God, the battery is dying. Hold on a second, I'll change the battery. I literally have all these ones in here. I don't even know why. I never even keep cash. Hold on. Okay, and I had to move my car too so that you guys could see me, because like the light out there was like coming in here and shining. It was so horrible. Okay. Billy Letts. It pulled up Billie Eilish age. How old is she? She's like 19, isn't she? 17? She's 18. I love that one song by her. I don't know what it's called, but anyway. Okay. Billy Letts. Author, novelist. Yeah, she died in 2014. Okay. Where the Heart is the book that I'm talking about. And then she wrote The Honkin' Holler opening soon. Made in the USA. Shoot the Moon. Shoot the Moon. Let's read what it's about. Questions about the long unsolved murder of a young woman in a small Oklahoma town are revived when a man appears claiming to be the baby boy. Oh, I forgot all about that. Okay, no, that's not the one about... Where's the... I swear there was one about these kids that lived in a car and they were like homeless. That one doesn't even have what the book is about. Well, I'll have to find out later and let you guys know, but she's fantastic. I love all of her books. Billy Letts, if you're up there listening to me, I love you. You impacted my life. You're writing. can you imagine having really achieved that? It's like, I'm trying to think of a book that, like, I mean, just to have the power that a song or a book or something creative that you came up just with your own mind thinking, right? You put out together, or you put out and came up with together. I don't know what together means, but anyway, like, affected somebody in a profound way. Like, think about a song that has really changed you as a person, you know, or like really impacted your soul in some way. You know, it's like there are certain songs that when I hear the lyrics or when I hear the music, it so moves me profoundly. You know, I think like Blowing in the Wind is one of them. A lot of the music that I was raised on, but like in times the times they are changing and blowing in the wind are probably two songs. Teach Your Children by, you know, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. When I hear these songs, they like, I think that they've existed with me as I was younger and as I was older. And the truth resonated in those songs. There's so many songs out there though, you know, not just those songs, but like happy, fun songs too, that when I listen to, it's like, you know, it just puts me in such a good space that, like, I mean, Vogue by Madonna, you know, is like a song that's always made me feel like such a great way, that I think like that also has kind of like, I mean, I know that sounds silly, but it has also had this kind of like profound impact on me in a positive way, you know? And so I think that when we think about like music or a poem or even a commercial on TV, you know, so, you know, back in the day when you would like record things on VCR, I have some show recorded from like a Christmas show, and there's this commercial on there, and I've looked it up on YouTube since, and you can find this commercial, and it's like, Old Miss, dun, 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 dun. It's a McDonald's ad, and it was about this teacher, and she was retiring, and they take her to McDonald's, and they all buy her this meal, and the kid stands up, and they say this whole thing, and then he goes, "We'll never forget ya." And like, to this day, when I see it, I bawl my eyes out, right? It's like a commercial can impact you and like make you feel emotion and move you in some way. And think about that's like just somebody's mind coming up with this. I think it's so cool, you know. And I think this whole idea of being creative or creativity is just such a cool thing. And you know, you don't have to be the world's greatest writer. You don't have to be the world's greatest poet or author, or, you know, or you know, what was I gonna say? Did I say painter? Author, whatever, poet, you know, none of that. Do it makes you happy, you know, and do it because it makes you happy. And I think that, like, you know, I think about how we critique writing, you know, and it's like, oh, this is a fantastic book, or this isn't a fantastic book, or whatever, or this is a New York Times bestseller, which, to be honest, let's just look at the New York Times bestseller, because I just did this while I was in Mexico. Half of the books that are on there are written by authors that pump out 5 books a year. They're just not really that well-written books. You know, and you compare a book, and it's like somebody might compare a book to, like, Murder at Mistletoe Manor that I recently read, right? Like, that is a book. Like, I haven't done my favorite books of 2019 yet. I still need to do that for my BookTube channel. But when I look at my favorite books of 2019, I talked about this on here recently, or maybe I talked about it in a book vlog, I don't know. But, you know, what's weird about it is that a lot of it has to do with what books a year from now will you be recommending and remembering a year from now? Does that make sense? Like, what is a book that if you read it like 5 years from now, like these Billy Letts books I love, but I can't remember one from the other, right? Okay, well, that doesn't mean that they're not good books. It just means I can't remember a lot of them, right? But what book, like when people say to me The Woman in the Window or the Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough, like I remember those books like immediately, you know? Paula Hawkins, who wrote The Girl in the Train, I can totally remember Girl in the Train. Into the Water, I hardly remember what it was about at all. I knew it was about a kidnapping. Now I'm kind of remembering a little bit of it. But there's a lot of books that I don't remember. And they might have been fantastic reads at the time, but like they don't resonate with me. The Chain by Adrienne McKenty, like it lingers with me. I recommend that book at least, it seems like, once a day to somebody, you know? So it's like, I think that the idea that a book will linger with you or have an impact on, like, I think its level of having an impact on us, or a movie for that matter, or, you know, a TV show is like Lost. is a TV show that, like, I loved, but still to this day, when I'm talking to people, I'm like, well, did you see Lost? Like, what did you think of the ending, you know? Like, oh, what characters did you like? You know, what did you think it all meant? Things, I mean, that TV show, long after it's over, is still having an impact on my life. I think there's something to be said for that. So maybe Murder at Mistletoe Manor wasn't a New York Times bestseller, but I can tell you 5 or 10 years from now, I'll still be remembering that book, and I'll still be recommending that book to people, you know, as a really great Christmas book that I read, because it was a fantastic Christmas book. It really, really was. And there's other books in the series which I want to read too, so, but anyway. These new, like, bus stop things, terminal things are new. I haven't seen these before. But it's weird when we think about, like, you know, what books, what movies, what TV shows have an impact on us. I think the more we start thinking about it, you know. And it doesn't have to be for some, like, super deep reason either. I mean, it can be just because we had an enjoyment factor out of it. But there's a lot to be said for enjoyment and positivity, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot to be said for that. For the fact that, you know, we just enjoy something, and there's a lot of things we have to do in this world that we don't enjoy. There's a lot of things in this world that we have to do that don't bring us happiness, peace, or, you know, or joy, like I said. And so to have things that do that for us, you know, like my husband watches every Marvel show, every superhero show. He loves all of those movies, and she watches every single one of them. There are positive attributes about all of those characters, yes, but I think he watches them because he just enjoys that genre of TV show and movie. There's nothing negative about that. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that are the same way. It's like playing video games. There's nothing, like, that brings us joy. We should do things in this world that bring us joy. You know, I think that that's part of living a right life, is enjoying our life, you know? I think sometimes we think, well, if we're doing things that aren't meaningful, if we're doing things that aren't deep or whatever, then what is our life? If we're not dedicating 20 hours a week, you know, to good causes and things. And that's true too, but I also think that a huge part of life is enjoying life, enjoying the life that you were given, you know? So, I don't know. Seems weird that I'm back to vlogging again. I don't know why. Like, I'm still kind of like, well, I didn't realize how much it had become such a huge part of my life, even though I had vlogged for almost 3 years straight. I didn't realize how much it had become a part of my life until I didn't do it for a week, and I really missed it, you know? And it was weird because, like, obviously I took my camera on vacation, and I would, like, almost have a tendency to, like, set it up, like, you know, like, look around the hotel room, like, where would I set up my camera and just sit here and talk and stuff, you know? And it would have been a really boring vlog throughout the week of just showing us sitting in the hotel room talking and whatever, you know, but, what is going on with my computer system in my car? It's doing something weird right now. I don't know what it's doing. I don't understand. There, it stopped. As soon as I say that, watch, it'll do it again. Just did it again. I told you. Oh. I don't know where I'm at, but I think I'm at about an hour. And I'm going to go home. It's now super late since I did that review video. I'm going to go home and try to get a little sleep before I have to get up to go to my massage and run errands and do a bunch of stuff tomorrow. So I'm going to get off here now, but what is tomorrow, Thursday? I hope you guys are having an amazing Thursday unless you have other plans, but like I always say, don't have other plans. Make the most of your day. Do something really fun today. You don't have to do something even meaningful. Just do something fun. Take a half an hour or an hour or a whole evening and binge watch a show. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. I'm gonna get back to watching my shows. I did that while I was on vacation, and now I need to get back to doing that again. And we were looking at our phones tonight at dinner about like how much time we spend on our phones, because you can look that stuff up, you know? And I was like, oh my God, how many hours was I on my phone this week? And then like I looked in to see like what were like my apps that I use the most. And it was like all of my entertainment apps that I had like been watching TV shows on, so, which I thought was kind of funny. But I need to get back to that because I missed watching my shows from when I was on vacation. I need to get back to that. Anyway, so just do something fun today. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Look in the mirror every single day and tell yourself, I love you. And do your positive affirmations and say, you are valuable, you are loved, you are important, you are a good person. 2020 is your year, and today is going to be an amazing day. And believe it in your heart and soul. And most importantly, every single day, let somebody know how important they are to you and how much they impact your life. Let's try every day to be a little kinder, a little nicer to each other, put a little love out there in the world, you know? And, yeah. Anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!